Earth's secret defense. In the vast expanse of the Milky Way, Earth had long been considered an unremarkable planet, a blue marble spinning quietly in the cosmic dance. For centuries, humanity gazed at the stars, wondering if they were alone in the universe. Little did they know that their isolation was about to come to an abrupt end. The year was 2157, and Earth had taken its first tentative steps into the solar system. Colonies on Mars and the Moon thrived, and mining operations in the asteroid belt fueled a new era of prosperity. Yet, compared to the great civilizations that spanned the galaxy, humanity was still in its infancy. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the window of her office in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, her eyes fixed on the bustling streets of New Geneva below. As the lead scientist of Project Aegis, she carried the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. For the past decade, she had dedicated her life to developing a defense system that could protect Earth from threats beyond their comprehension. Dr. Reyes, a voice called from behind her. The final simulations are complete. Elena turned to face her assistant, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a brilliant young physicist whose unassuming demeanor belied a mind that could unravel the mysteries of the universe. And? Elena asked, her heart racing with anticipation. Yuki's face broke into a wide grin. It works. The silent sentinel is operational. Elena let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Years of work, sleepless nights, and countless setbacks had led to this moment. The Silent Sentinel, a network of advanced satellites and ground-based facilities, was humanity's ace in the hole, a defense system that could harness the power of the sun itself. Have you informed the Council? Elena asked, already moving towards the door. Yuki shook her head. I came straight here. I thought you should be the one to tell them. As they made their way through the labyrinthine corridors of the UEDF headquarters, Elena's mind raced with the implications of their success. The Silent Sentinel was more than just a weapon. It was a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. In a galaxy where faster-than-light travel and energy weapons were commonplace, humanity had created something unique, a defense system that turned their own star into a weapon. The council chamber was a circular room, its walls adorned with the flags of Earth's nations. At the center stood a holographic projector, currently displaying a three-dimensional map of the solar system. The 12 council members, representatives from Earth's most influential regions, sat in a semicircle, their faces a mix of anticipation and concern. As Elena and Yuki entered, all eyes turned to them. Council President Adebayo leaned forward, his deep voice resonating through the chamber. Dr. Reyes, we've been eagerly awaiting your report. What news do you bring us? Elena took a deep breath, her voice steady as she addressed the council. Distinguished members of the council, I am pleased to report that Project Aegis has been successful. The Silent Sentinel is fully operational. A murmur of excitement rippled through the room. For years, the council had poured resources into the project, often facing criticism from those who believed such defenses were unnecessary. Now, their faith had been vindicated. Can you explain, in layman's terms, how the system works? Asked Councillor Chen, her eyes sharp with curiosity. Elena nodded, gesturing to Yuki to activate the holographic display. The image of the solar system was replaced by a detailed schematic of the Silent Sentinel system. The Silent Sentinel consists of three main components, Elena began. First, we have a network of satellites in orbit around the sun. These satellites are equipped with advanced energy collectors and focusing arrays. Second, we have a series of ground-based facilities on Earth and our off-world colonies, which serve as control centers and power distribution hubs. Finally, we have the Helios Array, a massive installation on Mercury that acts as the primary focusing lens for the system. The hologram shifted, showing a simulation of the system in action. A beam of concentrated solar energy lanced out from the sun, bouncing off the Mercury installation and striking a target beyond Mars' orbit. When activated, the Silent Sentinel can harness a fraction of the sun's output, focusing it into a coherent beam of energy. Elena continued, "This beam can be directed at any target in the solar system, with enough power to vaporize even the largest spacecraft in seconds." The council members watched in awe as the simulation played out. Councillor Petrov, a gruff man known for his skepticism, leaned forward. "And you're certain this system cannot be detected by potential alien observers?" Yuki stepped forward, addressing the council for the first time. "The beauty of the Silent Sentinel, Councillor, is its invisibility. To any outside observer, our solar system appears completely normal. The satellites are designed to be indistinguishable from natural solar phenomena, and the ground-based installations are heavily shielded against any known form of scanning technology." President Adebayo nodded thoughtfully. "Dr. Rice, Dr. Tanaka, you and your team have done remarkable work. But I must ask, why do we need such a powerful weapon? We have yet to make contact with any alien civilizations." Elena's expression turned grave. "Mr. President, members of the Council, while it's true that we have not yet encountered alien life, we have been detecting increasing signs of activity in nearby star systems. Our long-range sensors have picked up energy signatures consistent with faster-than-light travel. It's only a matter of time before we make first contact." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We must be prepared for any eventuality. The Silent Sentinel is not just a weapon. It's a deterrent. If we ever face a technologically superior force, this system could be the only thing standing between humanity and extinction." The council chamber fell silent as the implications of Elena's words settled over them. For years, humanity had dreamed of making contact with alien civilizations. Now, faced with the reality of their own vulnerability in a vast and potentially hostile galaxy, that dream had taken on a more ominous tone. Councillor Nkosi, an elderly woman known for her wisdom, spoke up. "Dr. Rice, while I commend your work, I must ask, have we become so fearful that our first act upon looking to the stars is to create a weapon of such destructive power?" Elena met the councillor's gaze steadily. "With all due respect, Councillor, it is not fear that drove us to create the Silent Sentinel. It is hope. Hope that by having this capability, we might never need to use it. Hope that we can meet any alien civilization as equals, not as easy prey." President Adebayo stood, his decision clear in his eyes. "Dr. Rice, your team has given humanity a shield against the unknown. Let us hope it will also serve as a bridge. The Silent Sentinel will remain our secret, known only to those in this room and the team that created it. We will continue to reach out to the stars with messages of peace and friendship, but we will do so knowing that we have the means to defend ourselves if necessary." As the council meeting adjourned, Elena and Yuki made their way back to their lab. The weight of their accomplishment hung heavy in the air between them. "Do you think we did the right thing?" Yuki asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elena stopped, turning to face her young colleague. "Yuki, throughout history, every major scientific breakthrough has forced humanity to grapple with difficult questions. The Silent Sentinel is no different. We've given our species a chance to face whatever's out there on equal footing. What we do with that chance is up to all of us." As they reached the lab, alarms suddenly blared to life. Red lights flashed in the corridors, and the facility's voice echoed through the speakers. "Alert! Unidentified objects detected entering the solar system. All personnel report to emergency stations." Elena and Yuki shared a look of shock and determination. The moment they had prepared for, the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy, had arrived sooner than anyone had expected. As they rushed to their stations, Elena's mind raced with possibilities. Would humanity's first contact with an alien civilization be one of peace or conflict? Would the Silent Sentinel remain a hidden ace, or would they be forced to reveal their trump card? One thing was certain: the next few hours would change the course of human history forever, and Elena Rice, the architect of humanity's greatest defense, would be at the center of it all. The The silent sentinel stood ready, invisible to all but its creators, waiting to either save humanity or usher in a new era of interstellar diplomacy. As the unknown objects drew closer, the fate of Earth hung in the balance, with the power of a star ready to be unleashed at a moment's notice. The greatest test of human ingenuity and resolve was about to begin. The arrival of the Zarkonian Empire. The solar system buzzed with frantic activity as humanity faced its first extraterrestrial encounter. Within hours of the initial detection, observatories across Earth and its colonies confirmed the presence of an alien fleet approaching from beyond the orbit of Neptune. The United Earth Defense Force had mobilized, but against an unknown adversary with presumably advanced technology, the outcome remained uncertain. In the UEDF headquarters, Dr. Elena Reyes and her team worked tirelessly to analyze the incoming data. The silent sentinel remained on standby, a last resort that they hoped wouldn't be necessary. "What do we know about them?" Elena asked, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien fleet's approach. Captain Marcus Chen, the UEDF's top tactical officer, stepped forward. "Not much, I'm afraid. We're detecting 27 vessels of varying sizes. Their propulsion system is like nothing we've ever seen. They're decelerating from speeds we thought impossible." Yuki Tanaka, hunched over a console nearby, called out, "Energy readings are off the charts, Dr. Reyes. Whatever technology they're using, it's centuries ahead of ours." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. This was the scenario they had feared, a technologically superior force arriving at Earth's doorstep. But fear wouldn't help them now. They needed clear heads and steady hands. "Any attempts at communication?" she asked. As if in answer to her question, every screen in the command center suddenly flickered. A face appeared, unmistakably alien, yet disturbingly humanoid. Its skin was a pale blue, with intricate patterns swirling across a high forehead. Large, almond-shaped eyes gazed out at them, filled with an intelligence that seemed both ancient and predatory. The alien spoke, its words translated in real time by the UEDF's advanced AI systems. "People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Zarkon of the Zarkonian Empire. Your world now stands at the threshold of a new era. Prepare to receive us." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. President Adebayo, who had been silently observing until now, turned to Elena. "Dr. Rice, it seems your predictions were correct. What do you make of this, Supreme Commander Zarkon?" Elena chose her words carefully. Their technology is clearly advanced, but the fact that they're communicating at all is a positive sign. They could have attacked without warning if that was their sole intention. Or they're supremely confident in their superiority. Captain Chen added grimly. "Either way," Elena continued, "we need to respond. We should arrange a face-to-face meeting. It's our best chance to gauge their true intentions and to show them that humanity is not to be underestimated." President Adebayo nodded in agreement. "Make it happen, Dr. Rice. You'll lead the delegation. Your knowledge of the Silent Sentinel might give us an edge in negotiations." As preparations for the meeting began, Elena couldn't shake a sense of unease. The Zarkonians' casual demonstration of their technological prowess was clearly meant to intimidate. But humanity had a few tricks up its sleeve, and Elena was determined to ensure that Earth wouldn't go down without a fight. The meeting was set to take place on the neutral ground of the International Space Station, which had been hastily evacuated and prepared for the historic encounter. Elena, along with a small team of diplomats and scientists, made their way to the station aboard a UEDF shuttle. As they approached the ISS, they saw that the Zarkonians had already arrived. A sleek, silver vessel easily 3 times the size of the space station hovered nearby, its surface seamless and reflective. Elena and her team boarded the station, their hearts pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They made their way to the main conference room, where they found Supreme Commander Zarkon and 2 other Zarkonians waiting. Up close, the aliens were even more impressive. They stood nearly 7 feet tall, their bodies lithe and graceful. Zarkan's eyes fixed on Alina as she entered, and she felt as if he were looking straight through her. "Dr. Alina Reyes," Zarkan said, his voice surprisingly melodious. "We have observed your work from afar. Your species shows potential." Alina straightened her back, meeting Zarkan's gaze. "Supreme Commander, on behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system. We're eager to establish peaceful relations and exchange knowledge." Zarkan's lips curled into what might have been a smile. "Peace is a noble goal, Dr. Reyes. But peace, as we have learned over millennia of galactic rule, can only be guaranteed through strength. The Zarkonian Empire brings order to chaos, progress to stagnation." One of the other Zarkonians stepped forward, introducing himself as Liaison Tarak. "What the Supreme Commander means to say is that we're here to offer Earth a place within our empire. Under our guidance, your species could achieve greatness beyond your wildest dreams." Alina felt a chill run down her spine. The words were diplomatic, but the underlying message was clear: submit or face the consequences. "And if we choose to remain independent?" Alina asked, already knowing the answer. Zarkan's expression hardened. "That would be unfortunate. Surely you understand that your current level of technology is no match for ours. Resistance would only lead to unnecessary suffering." Alina took a deep breath, choosing her next words carefully. "Supreme Commander, while we appreciate your offer, humanity has always valued its freedom. We faced overwhelming odds before and persevered. We're not looking for a fight, but we won't simply roll over either." The third Zarkonian, who had remained silent until now, let out a sound that might have been a laugh. "Admirable spirit, but misplaced. Perhaps a demonstration of our power would help you see reason." Before Alina could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Captain Chen's voice came through Alina's earpiece. "Dr. Reyes, we're detecting massive energy buildups from the Zarkonian fleet. They're targeting our moon base." Alina's blood ran cold. She looked at Zarkan, whose expression remained impassive. "What are you doing? There are thousands of civilians on that base." Zarkan rose to his full height, towering over Alina. "Consider this a taste of what awaits those who defy the Empire. Your moon base will be destroyed as a warning. You have one planetary rotation to reconsider your position. If you do not surrender unconditionally by then, we will begin systematic strikes against your major population centers." With that, the Zarkonians turned and left the conference room, leaving Alina and her team in shocked silence. As soon as the aliens were out of earshot, Alina activated her secure comlink. "This is Dr. Reyes. Initiate silent sentinel protocols immediately. We're out of options." The response came swiftly. "Understood, Doctor. Silent Sentinel is coming online. Estimated time to full power, 6 hours." Alina closed her eyes, the weight of what was about to happen settling on her shoulders. In 6 hours, humanity would either emerge victorious against an overwhelmingly superior force or face annihilation. As they rushed back to their shuttle, Alina's mind raced. The Silent Sentinel was powerful, but it had never been tested in actual combat. Would it be enough to stop the Zarkonian fleet? And even if it was, what would be the consequences of revealing such a weapon to the galaxy at large? The shuttle detached from the ISS, and as they sped back towards Earth, Alina caught sight of the Zarkonian ships moving into position around the moon. Time was running out. Back at UEDF headquarters, chaos reigned. Reports were coming in from the moon base. The Zarkonians had begun their attack. Energy weapons unlike anything humanity had ever seen were tearing through the base's defenses. President Adebayo, his face grim, turned to Alina as she entered the command center. "Dr. Reyes, it seems diplomacy has failed. What are our options?" Alina moved to the central holographic display, bringing up the schematics for the Silent Sentinel. "We have one option, Mr. President. The Silent Sentinel is our only hope of stopping the Zarkonians, but once we use it, there's no going back. We'll be revealing our greatest secret to the galaxy." The president nodded solemnly. "Do we have a choice?" "No," Elena replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "We don't." As the countdown to the Silent Sentinel's activation ticked away, humanity held its breath. In orbit around the sun, invisible to all but its creators, a network of satellites began to hum with power. On Mercury, the massive Helios array shifted, aligning itself with precision. The fate of Earth and humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance. In just a few hours, they would either emerge as a force to be reckoned with or face extinction at the hands of the Zarkonian Empire. The greatest gamble in human history was about to unfold, with the power of a star as their final card. The ultimatum and Earth's response. The next few hours were a blur of frantic activity as humanity prepared for what could be its final stand. The moon base, humanity's proudest off-world achievement, had fallen silent, its inhabitants' fate unknown. Cities across Earth buzzed with a mixture of panic and determination as news of the alien ultimatum spread. In the heart of UEDF headquarters, Dr. Elena Reyes stood before a gathering of world leaders, military commanders, and scientific advisors. The tension in the room was palpable, every face etched with the gravity of the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Elena began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her heart. "In less than 3 hours, the Silent Sentinel will be fully operational. It represents our best, and possibly only, chance against the Zarkonian fleet." She gestured to the holographic display, which showed the alien ships in orbit around the moon. "However, we face a dilemma. Do we strike first, potentially saving countless lives, but also casting humanity as the aggressor? Or do we wait, giving diplomacy one last chance but risking further attacks?" The room erupted into heated debate. Some argued for an immediate, overwhelming strike to catch the Zarkonians off guard. Others pushed for restraint, fearing the galactic repercussions of such an action. President Adebayo raised his hand, silencing the room. "Dr. Rice, you've studied the Zarkonians more than anyone. What's your assessment?" Elena took a deep breath. "Based on their behavior and what little we know of their culture, I believe the Zarkonians respect strength above all else. They see our attempts at diplomacy as weakness. If we're to have any hope of a peaceful resolution, we need to show them that we're not to be trifled with." She paused, looking around the room. "I propose a demonstration. Not an all-out attack, but a warning shot that shows the full potential of our capabilities." Captain Chen stepped forward, his tactical mind already working. "What if we target one of their smaller ships? Something significant enough to get their attention, but not so large as to be seen as a declaration of total war." Elena nodded. "Exactly. We need to change the dynamics of this confrontation. Right now, they see us as primitive and defenseless. We need to show them that we have teeth." President Adebayo considered for a moment, then nodded grimly. "Make it happen, Dr. Reyes. But be prepared for any response. If this doesn't work, we may have no choice but all-out war." As the meeting adjourned, Elena felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. She made her way to the Silent Sentinel control room, where Yuki and a team of engineers were making final preparations. "How are we looking, Yuki?" Elena asked, her eyes scanning the arrays of data flowing across the screens. Yuki looked up, her face a mixture of excitement and fear. "All systems are green, Dr. Reyes. The Helios array is aligned, and the solar collectors are at 92% efficiency. We'll be ready to fire in approximately 47 minutes." Elena nodded, then turned to address the room. "Listen up, everyone. What we're about to do will change the course of human history. No matter what happens next, know that your work here has given humanity a fighting chance. I'm proud of each and every one of you." As the final minutes ticked away, a tense silence fell over the control room. On screens around the world, people watched and waited, knowing that their fate hung in the balance. Suddenly, alarms blared. Yuki's voice cut through the noise. "Dr. Reyes, We're detecting massive energy buildups from the Zarkonian fleet. They're targeting multiple locations on Earth's surface. Belena's heart raced. They were out of time. Initiate Silent Sentinel. Target the lead ship of their attack formation. The room burst into action. Engineers called out system statuses as the massive array of satellites and collectors around the sun hummed to life. On Mercury, the Helios array began to glow, channeling the awesome power of the star. Energy levels at maximum. Yuki shouted, "Firing solution locked." Elena took a deep breath. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. "Fire," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, a beam of pure, blinding energy lanced out from the sun, focused by the Helios array on Mercury. It crossed the vast distance to Earth's orbit in seconds, striking the targeted Zarkonian ship with pinpoint accuracy. The effect was instantaneous and devastating. The alien vessel, for all its advanced technology, stood no chance against the concentrated power of a star. It vaporized in a brilliant flash, leaving nothing but scattered particles where a mighty warship had once been. In the UEDF control room, stunned silence gave way to cheers of disbelief and triumph. They had done it. Humanity had struck back against an overwhelmingly superior force and won. But Elena knew the battle was far from over. "Maintain battle stations," she called out. "Prepare for their response." Sure enough, within moments, a transmission came through. Supreme Commander Zarkon's face appeared on the main screen, his usual composure replaced by a mixture of rage and was that fear. "What have you done?" he snarled. "How is this possible? Your world was supposed to be defenseless." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady. "Supreme Commander, consider that a demonstration of Earth's capabilities. We possess technology that allows us to harness the power of our star itself. We didn't want this conflict, but make no mistake, we are prepared to defend ourselves." Zarkon's eyes narrowed. "You think this changes anything? We still have the power to reduce your world to ash." "Perhaps," Elena replied, "but at what cost? How many ships are you willing to lose? How will the rest of the galaxy view the mighty Zarkonian Empire if they're bloodied by a primitive world like ours?" For a long moment, Zarkon said nothing. Then, slowly, his expression changed. The rage faded, replaced by something that looked almost like respect. "It seems we have underestimated you, humans," he said finally. "Perhaps there is more to your species than we initially thought." Elena saw an opening and took it. "Then let's talk, Commander. Not as conqueror and subject, but as equals. There's room enough in this galaxy for both our peoples to thrive." Zarkon considered for a moment, then nodded. "Very well, Dr. Reyes. We will withdraw to a neutral position and resume negotiations. But know this, if you're lying about your capabilities, if this was some trick or fluke, the consequences will be severe." As the transmission ended, the control room erupted in a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had stood up to a vastly superior alien force and earned, if not their friendship, at least their respect. President Adebayo approached Elena, a look of awe on his face. "Dr. Rice, you've given humanity a future. Whatever happens next, we owe you a debt that can never be repaid." Elena shook her head. "This was a team effort, Mr. President. Every person on this planet, every scientist, engineer, and citizen who looked to the stars with hope instead of fear, they all played a part in this victory." As the immediate crisis passed and preparations for new negotiations began, Elena found a quiet moment to reflect. They had revealed their greatest secret to the galaxy, and there was no going back. Earth was now a known player on the galactic stage. For better or worse, the coming days and weeks would be crucial. They needed to negotiate from a position of strength, while also showing that humanity was more than just a weapon. They had to prove that Earth could be a valuable ally, not just a formidable enemy. As she looked out at the stars, Alina felt a mix of hope and trepidation. Humanity had passed its first great test, but she knew it wouldn't be the last. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders and dangers they had yet to imagine. But for the first time, Alina truly believed that humanity was ready to face whatever the cosmos might throw at them. They had stared down extinction and emerged stronger. Whatever came next, Earth would face it united, armed with the ingenuity and determination that had saved them from the brink of annihilation. The silent sentinel had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. Now, it was time for humanity to make its voice heard among the stars. Humanity's unexpected strategy. The tense calm following the demonstration of the silent sentinel's power was short-lived. As Earth's leaders prepared for renewed negotiations with the Zarkonian Empire, alarms blared once again in the UEDF headquarters. Dr. Alina Reyes rushed into the command center, her heart pounding. "What's happening?" Captain Chen's face was grim as he pointed to the main display. "The Zarkonians are on the move. It seems they're not as impressed by our show of force as we hoped." The holographic map showed the alien fleet spreading out, taking up strategic positions around Earth and its colonies. It was a classic encirclement maneuver, designed to cut off any possible escape routes and provide multiple angles of attack. President Adebayo, who had been conferring with his military advisors, turned to Alina. "Dr. Rice, it appears diplomacy has failed. We need options, and we need them now." Alina's mind raced. The silent sentinel was powerful, but it had limitations. It took time to recharge between shots, and it couldn't target multiple ships simultaneously. Against a coordinated attack from the entire Zarkonian fleet, even Earth's stellar superweapon might not be enough. "We need to buy time," Alina said, her eyes fixed on the display. "And we need to be unpredictable. The Zarkonians think they know what we're capable of now, but they're wrong." She turned to the team of scientists and military strategists gathered in the room. "It's time to unveil Project Chimera." A murmur ran through the crowd. Project Chimera had been a closely guarded secret, known only to a handful of top officials. It was Alina's backup plan, a strategy so unconventional that many had dismissed it as impossible. "Captain Chen," Alina called out, "initiate the Chimera protocol. And get me a direct line to the Zarkonian command ship." As the UEDF sprang into action, carrying out Alina's orders, Supreme Commander Zarkon's face appeared on the main screen. His expression was a mixture of anger and grudging respect. "Dr. Reyes," he said, his voice cold, "your weapon is impressive, but do not think it makes you our equal. Surrender now, and we may yet show mercy." Alina met his gaze steadily. "Commander Zarkon, I'm afraid you've misunderstood the situation. The silent sentinel was not our ultimate weapon. It was merely a test, a proof of concept for something far greater." She nodded to one of the technicians, who activated a series of pre-prepared visual simulations. On the screen, alongside Zarkon's face, images appeared showing massive structures throughout Earth's solar system, around Venus, Jupiter, even in the Kuiper Belt. "Behold Project Chimera," Alina said, her voice filled with a confidence she didn't entirely feel. "A network of stellar manipulators that can harness the power of not just our sun, but every large body in our solar system. We can create gravitational lenses, solar flares, even miniature wormholes." Zarkon's eyes widened slightly, the first sign of genuine shock Alina had seen from the alien commander. "You're bluffing," he said, but there was a note of uncertainty in his voice. "Are we?" Alina countered. "You've seen what we can do with just our sun. Imagine what we're capable of with the gas giants at our disposal. Your fleet is impressive, Commander, but how will it fare against the combined power of an entire star system?" As she spoke, the UEDF carried out the true Chimera protocol behind the scenes. It wasn't the godlike power Alina was describing. That was indeed a bluff. But it was a plan just as audacious in its own way. Across Earth and its colonies, quantum-entangled communication devices activated, connecting with their counterparts hidden on asteroids, moons, and secret bases throughout the solar system. Sleeper ships, disguised as space debris or hidden in planetary rings, came to life. And in the Oort cloud, at the very edge of the solar system, a fleet of automated drone ships began to move, undetected by the Zarkonian sensors. Alina continued her bluff, keeping Zarkon's attention focused on the imaginary superweapons while humanity's real plan unfolded. "We don't want war, Commander. We never did. But if you force our hand, we will unleash power beyond your imagination." Zarkon was silent for a long moment, his alien features unreadable. Then, slowly, he began to laugh. It was a strange sound, somewhere between amusement and resignation. "Well played, Dr. Reyes," he said. "I don't know if I believe your claims about these stellar manipulators, but I must admit, you've managed to introduce an element of uncertainty into our calculations. That alone is impressive." Alina allowed herself a small smile. "Then perhaps it's time we return to the negotiating table. As equals this time." But before Zarkon could respond, alarms blared once again. One of the UEDF officers called out, "Multiple energy spikes detected. The Zarkonian fleet is powering up weapons." Alina's heart sank. Had her bluff failed? Zarkon's expression hardened. "A good effort, Dr. Reyes, but the Zarkonian Empire did not become the dominant force in the galaxy by backing down from a challenge. If you have these weapons, then use them. Otherwise, prepare to face the full might of our fleet." The transmission cut off, and the command center erupted into action. Alina turned to President Adebayo, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Sir, we need to initiate the second phase of the Chimera Protocol." The president nodded grimly. "Do it, and may whatever gods are out there have mercy on us all." As the Zarkonian fleet began its advance, humanity's hidden assets sprang into action. The sleeper ships, now active, began to emit complex electromagnetic fields, creating false sensor readings and confusing the alien targeting systems. In the Oort cloud, the drone fleet accelerated, using the cover of comets and icy bodies to mask their approach. These ships, small and agile, were armed with experimental weapons based on the same principles as the Silent Sentinel, but on a much smaller scale. Alina watched the tactical display, her heart pounding. This was the moment of truth. If their strategy failed, Earth would be defenseless against the full might of the Zarkonian Armada. "Silent Sentinel is charged and ready," Yuki reported. Targeting solutions locked on the lid Zarkonian ships. Alina took a deep breath. Fire. Once again, a lance of concentrated solar energy shot out, striking one of the largest Zarkonian vessels. But this time, the aliens were prepared. Energy shields flickered to life, absorbing much of the blast. The ship was damaged, but not destroyed. "They've adapted," Captain Chen said, his voice tense. "Our main advantage is gone." But Alina smiled. "No, Captain. They'd done exactly what we wanted them to do. They'd focused all their attention on the threat that they can see." As if on cue, the tactical display lit up with new signals. The drone fleet from the Oort cloud had arrived, attacking the Zarkonian ships from behind with pinpoint precision. Smaller beams of energy, miniature versions of the Silent Sentinel, struck the alien vessels where their shields were weakest. Simultaneously, the sleeper ships revealed themselves, launching swarms of autonomous fighters. These human craft, while technologically inferior to the Zarkonian ships, had one crucial advantage. They were piloted by AIs that could react and adapt at speeds no organic being could match. The space around Earth erupted into chaos. The Zarkonian fleet, caught off guard by attacks from multiple directions, struggled to coordinate their response. Their superior technology was offset by the sheer unpredictability of the human assault. In the UEDF command center, Alina watched the battle unfold with a mixture of hope and trepidation. They had succeeded in throwing the Zarkonians off balance, but the aliens still had the advantage in raw firepower. The question was, Could humanity's improvised strategy hold out long enough to force a ceasefire? As the battle raged on, with losses mounting on both sides, Alina knew that the next few hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but humanity's place in the galactic community. They had shown they could stand up to one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. Now, they needed to show they could end this conflict without resorting to total war. The true test of humanity's wisdom and restraint was about to begin, with the eyes of the cosmos upon them. A new era for Earth and the galaxy. The battle raged for hours, a dazzling and terrifying spectacle visible from Earth's surface. Streaks of energy crisscrossed the night sky, punctuated by brilliant flashes as ships on both sides succumbed to the onslaught. Humanity's unconventional tactics had succeeded in confusing and dividing the Zarkonian fleet, but the aliens' superior technology was taking a heavy toll. In the UEDF command center, Dr. Alina Reyes watched the tactical displays with growing concern. Their surprise attack had been effective, but the Zarkonians were adapting quickly. The drone fleet from the Oort cloud had been reduced to less than half its original number, and the sleeper ships were taking heavy damage. "Status report," Alina called out, her voice tense. Captain Chen responded, his face grim. "We've destroyed or disabled about a third of their fleet, but our own losses are mounting. The Silent Sentinel is still operational, but its effectiveness is diminishing as they improve their shields. We can't keep this up much longer." President Adebayo, who had remained in the command center throughout the battle, turned to Alina. "Dr. Reyes, we need a way to end this quickly. If we can't force a ceasefire soon, we risk losing everything." Alina nodded, her mind racing. They had shown the Zarkonians that humanity was not to be trifled with, but pride and stubbornness on both sides were prolonging a conflict that could only end in mutual destruction. They needed a game changer, something that would force both sides to step back from the brink. Suddenly, an idea struck her. It was risky, potentially catastrophic if it went wrong, but it might be their only chance. "Yuki," Alina called out, "I need you to reconfigure the Silent Sentinel. We're going to create a controlled solar flare." Yuki's eyes widened in shock. "Dr. Reyes, that's incredibly dangerous. We've never attempted anything on that scale before." "I know," Alina replied, "but it's our only option. If we can create a large enough electromagnetic pulse, we can disable both fleets temporarily. It'll force a ceasefire and bring both sides to the negotiating table." As Yuki and her team worked frantically to modify the Silent Sentinel systems, Alina opened a channel to the Zarkonian command ship. Supreme Commander Zarkon's face appeared on the screen, his features set in a mask of grim determination. "Commander Zarkon," Alina began, "this conflict has gone on long enough. We've both demonstrated our strength and our resolve. If we continue, it will only lead to mutual annihilation." Zarkon's eyes narrowed. "And what do you propose, Dr. Reyes? Surrender?" Alina shook her head. "No, I propose we both stand down and negotiate as equals. To show our sincerity, we're prepared to do something that will leave both our forces vulnerable. It's a gesture of trust and a demonstration of the power we wield." Before Zarkon could respond, Alina nodded to Yuki. "Initiate the solar flare." The Silent Sentinel hummed to life one last time, its network of satellites around the sun working in perfect harmony. But instead of a focused beam of energy, it produced a massive controlled eruption on the sun's surface. A wall of charged particles raced towards Earth at incredible speed. As it approached, it engulfed both human and Zarkonian ships alike. Electrical systems flickered and died, leaving the mighty vessels of both fleets drifting helplessly in space. In the UEDF command center, backup systems kicked in, preserving life support and basic functions. Alina turned back to the screen, where Zarkon's image had been replaced by static. "Broadcast on all frequencies," she ordered. "Commander Zarkon, as you can see, we have the power to disable both our fleets. We've chosen to make ourselves as vulnerable as we've made you. This is our proposal." a ceasefire, followed by honest, open negotiations. We believe there's room in this galaxy for both our civilizations to thrive. What say you?" For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then, slowly, the communication system crackled to life. Zarkan's face reappeared, his expression a mixture of anger, respect, and, surprisingly, amusement. "Dr. Reyes," he said, "in all my years commanding the Zarkonian fleet, I have never encountered a species quite like yours. You are infuriating, unpredictable, and far more resourceful than we ever gave you credit for." He paused, then continued, "Very well. We will agree to a ceasefire and negotiations. You have earned that much." A cheer went up in the command center. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had stood up to one of the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy and emerged, if not victorious, then at least undefeated. In the days that followed, as both human and Zarkonian ships were slowly brought back online, the real work began. Diplomatic teams from Earth met with their Zarkonian counterparts, hammering out the terms of a lasting peace. To everyone's surprise, the negotiations proceeded more smoothly than anyone had dared to hope. The Zarkonians, it turned out, were not simply mindless conquerors. They were a complex civilization with a rich culture and history. Their policy of expansion was driven by a deeply ingrained belief that they were bringing order and progress to the galaxy. Humanity's resistance and the ingenuity they had shown in the face of overwhelming odds had forced the Zarkonians to reconsider their assumptions. Here was a young species that had not only stood up to them, but had done so in ways they had never anticipated. It was, many Zarkonian diplomats admitted privately, rather refreshing. 1 month after the battle, Dr. Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Harmony Station, a joint human-Zarkonian facility in Earth orbit. Beside her stood Supreme Commander Zarkon, both of them watching as ships from both their fleets maneuvered in a coordinated exercise. "You know," Zarkon said, breaking the comfortable silence, "when we first detected your world, we thought we had found an easy conquest, a primitive species ripe for subjugation. I have never been so glad to be proven wrong." Elena smiled. "And we thought we were alone in the universe, isolated and vulnerable. I suppose we both had a lot to learn." Zarkon nodded. "Indeed. Your species has shown us that there is more than one path to greatness. Your creativity, your adaptability. These are qualities that will serve you well as you take your place among the galactic community." "And the Zarkonian Empire?" Elena asked. "What will you do now?" Zarkon's expression turned thoughtful. "We have much to reconsider. Perhaps it is time we focused less on conquest and more on cooperation. There is much we could learn from species like yours." As they continued to watch the joint fleet exercises, Elena felt a sense of profound optimism. The road ahead would not be easy. There were countless challenges to overcome, prejudices to dismantle, and trust to be built. But for the first time, humanity was facing the future not as a vulnerable, isolated species, but as a recognized power with allies among the stars. The Silent Sentinel, the weapon that had saved Earth, was being repurposed. Under a joint human-Zarkonian initiative, it would be transformed into a tool for scientific research, allowing unprecedented study of the Sun and other stars. Earth itself was transforming. The revelation of alien life and the aftermath of the conflict had united humanity in ways no one could have predicted. Old rivalries and conflicts seemed petty in the face of the vast, complex galactic community they were now part of. As Elena looked out at the stars, she realized that this was just the beginning. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place in the cosmos. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and they were finally ready to explore it, not in fear, but in a spirit of discovery and cooperation. The future, once uncertain, now shone as brightly as the stars themselves. Humanity had proven its worth, not just through its strength, but through its ingenuity, its adaptability, and its capacity for understanding. As Earth took its first real steps into the galactic community, Alina knew that the greatest adventures and challenges still lay ahead. But whatever the universe had in store, she was confident that humanity would face it with the same spirit that had carried them through this crisis. They would face it together, with open minds and open hearts, ready to learn, to grow, and to contribute to the grand tapestry of galactic civilization. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The age of discovery, of true cosmic citizenship, had just begun.